stop selling that kind of stuff is if the only way I can move on with a relationship with her is gonna have to be with those terms. If she doesn't wanna do it, I'm out of it. Don't touch me, Kara.
Why? Oh my God, don't be weird.
I feel like the chances that our son is gonna be bullied are there.
I think about everything I do beyond being a mother. Even before that, I loved you down. I don't know if that makes a difference in us being, like, together forever or not. But damn, it would just make me feel like a better person.
I'm gonna touch your body.
Por favor, dame mi espacio, Kara.
I'm on the other half of the tent.
Kara, listen, that's your bed. This is mine. Join my son.
Guillermo won't let Kara touch him. Is their marriage over? Guillermo did not need divorce papers to show Kara how far their marriage had fallen. He built a wall between them. After therapy, after tears, and after agreeing that Kara deserved more kindness, Guillermo returned to their tent and made one thing painfully clear. He did not want her touching him. He did not trust the attempt at affection. And he did not want her crossing into his side of the bed. That quiet rejection may reveal more about this marriage than every loud argument they have had at the retreat. Kara says she wants to feel seen, respected, and accepted as the woman she is now. Guillermo says he cannot feel proud of the career she has chosen. Kara believes she is making money and supporting her family. Guillermo believes the same choice could affect their son, damage the marriage, and force him to compromise values he does not want to compromise. Then, he delivers the ultimatum. Stop the side business, or there is no marriage. But that creates a question with no easy answer. Is Guillermo setting a legitimate personal boundary, or is he trying to control Kara by threatening to leave? Is Kara protecting her independence, or is she refusing to admit that major career decisions can change the terms of a marriage? And when she talks about doing what is best for her family unit, does that family still include Guillermo? Or has she already accepted that they are mainly co-parents living separate lives? The hardest possibility is that neither one is pretending. Kara may genuinely love Guillermo and still refuse to change. Guillermo may genuinely love Kara and still feel unable to remain married to her. That means therapy cannot fix this by teaching them to speak more politely. Their real problem may not be that they have failed to communicate. Their real problem may be that both have finally communicated clearly and the lives they want are no longer compatible. The central conflict looks simple on the surface. Guillermo wants Kara to stop her online side business. Kara does not believe he has the right to demand that choice from her. But underneath that disagreement sits a much larger fight about identity, money, respect, marriage, parenting, and power. Guillermo is not only saying that he dislikes the work, he is saying it has changed how he sees his wife. That distinction matters. Couples can disagree about a job, a schedule, or a financial decision and still respect each other. This conflict feels different because the disagreement has become personal. Guillermo appears to connect Kara's work with her character, her priorities, and even her role as a mother. Kara hears that as judgment. From her point of view, she is not asking Guillermo for permission. They're already living separately. She is handling her own expenses. She believes she is doing what she needs to do, while also pursuing a music career and maintaining independence. So when Guillermo speaks as though he should have final authority over that decision, Kara seems to hear a man who wants the benefits of being her husband without participating fully in the life she is currently managing. That is where the conversation about boundaries becomes complicated. Guillermo is allowed to say, "I cannot remain in a marriage where this is happening." That is a personal boundary. A boundary describes what you will do to protect your own values or emotional health. It does not force the other person to obey. Kara is free to continue. Guillermo is free to leave. The problem begins when a boundary becomes a moral attack. Saying, "I cannot accept this in my marriage," is different from saying, "This makes you a bad person or a bad mother." One statement explains a limit. The other tries to define the other person's worth. And this is where Guillermo loses some viewers who might otherwise understand his position. Many people can accept that a spouse may have strong feelings about a partner's public work. Marriage does involve shared expectations. But once disappointment turns into disgust, humiliation, or personal condemnation, the conversation stops being about compatibility and starts feeling like punishment. At the same time, Kara's argument also has a weakness. Personal autonomy does not mean personal choices have no shared consequences. A married person has the right to choose a career. But the spouse also has the right to decide whether that career changes the relationship beyond what they can accept. Kara does not need Guillermo's permission to make the decision. She also cannot demand that he feel comfortable with it. That is the uncomfortable balance. Her right to choose does not require him to stay. His right to leave does not give him ownership over her choices. The hidden issue is respect. Guillermo appears to believe Kara no longer respects his role as her husband. Kara appears to believe Guillermo has lost the authority to influence her decisions because he does not live with her and does not carry her financial responsibilities. Both may feel dismissed. Both may feel replaced. And both seem to believe the other person should prove commitment first. Guillermo wants Kara to change the behavior before he offers emotional closeness. Kara wants Guillermo to offer emotional closeness before she considers his demand seriously. Each person is waiting for the other to move. That creates a deadlock. Kara's use of the phrase family unit also deserves attention. She presents her choices as part of supporting her family. But TLC's own context establishes that Kara and Guillermo entered this season living in separate homes. So what does family unit mean to her now? It may still include Guillermo emotionally, but it may also mean Kara and their son, with Guillermo functioning mainly as a co-parent. If that is how she has already reorganized her life, then Guillermo may be fighting to restore a version of the marriage that Kara no longer uses to make daily decisions. This is why the financial argument becomes so emotional. Kara frames the work as income. Guillermo argues that the work was tied to her music ambitions and suggests she had other options. Those are competing claims made inside the relationship. They are not independently proven financial facts. But the disagreement reveals how differently they interpret the same decision. Kara sees survival, independence, and investment in her future. Guillermo sees a choice that placed personal ambition above the marriage. Neither interpretation has to be completely false. A decision can provide income and still damage a relationship. A spouse can have a sincere moral objection and still express it in a controlling or cruel way. There may not be a clean compromise on whether Kara continues the work. That choice could remain binary. But there are still compromises around it. They could discuss a timeline. They could create a financial plan. They could define what reconciliation actually requires. They could agree on respectful language. They could decide how to protect their son from adult conflict. They could also stop pretending that one emotional retreat can repair a separation that has already changed the structure of their family. Instead, they appear trapped in the same argument. Kara wants Guillermo to stop judging her. Guillermo wants Kara to stop the behavior. Each treats the other person's position as the main problem. Then we get the tense scene and the entire conflict changes. Kara asks for kindness and connection. During therapy, Guillermo appears willing to acknowledge that request. Later, when they are alone, she tries to move closer to him. He pulls away. He creates physical distance. He draws a line through the bed with a blanket, turning emotional separation into something the audience can literally see. That moment is powerful because conflict can exist alongside affection. Couples can argue and still reach for each other. They can be angry and still feel emotionally safe enough to accept comfort. But physical aversion suggests something deeper. It can mean the partner is no longer experienced as a source of peace. Touch feels threatening, dishonest, confusing, or unwanted. Kara's attempt to lie close to Guillermo does not automatically mean she was trying to manipulate him. It may have been grief. She may have been reaching for the old version of their relationship, when closeness was natural and neither person had to negotiate where a hand could rest. That makes the rejection especially painful. She is not only being told no in that moment. She's being shown that the physical language of their marriage no longer exists in the same way. Guillermo's reaction may also come from more than anger. The blanket wall gives him control over physical space after a long period in which he may have felt he had no control over the direction of the marriage. He cannot control Kara's work. He cannot control where she lives. He cannot control how she defines independence. But he can control his side of the bed. That does not make the rejection kind. It does help explain why the moment feels so firm. Trust is also part of this. TLC has already framed jealousy and suspicions of infidelity as issues connected to their separation. When trust has been damaged, even an innocent request for closeness can be interpreted through suspicion. Guillermo may wonder whether Kara wants real reconciliation, temporary comfort, reassurance for the cameras, or proof that he still cares. Kara may simply want affection, but he may no longer believe affection can be separated from the unresolved conflict. This is what accumulated resentment does. It changes the meaning of ordinary gestures. A touch is no longer just a touch. A career is no longer just a career. A request for kindness becomes a demand to ignore the deal breaker. A request for change becomes a threat to erase someone's identity. Their son makes everything more important, but also more dangerous. Kara can argue that she is earning money and providing. Guillermo can argue that he is thinking about possible future consequences for their child. Both can present themselves as the protective parent. The danger comes when their son becomes a moral weapon. Parenting concerns should be discussed through measurable needs. Is the child safe? Is the child supported? Are both parents present? Are they protecting him from adult resentment? Are they creating stability? Those questions are more useful than using motherhood or fatherhood as proof that one person is morally superior. A child can be a reason to build respectful co-parenting. A child is not automatic proof that two adults should remain romantically married. In some situations, forcing a hostile marriage to continue can create more instability than a structured separation. That is why viewers are so divided. Some fans feel Guillermo is completely justified. They argue that a spouse is allowed to reject a career that crosses a personal marital boundary. From that perspective, Kara minimizes his discomfort and treats his values like an inconvenience. These viewers see her music goals and online work as priorities she protects more aggressively than the marriage. To them, the tense scene does not show cruelty. It shows that Guillermo has emotionally left and is finally being honest. Other viewers support Kara. They believe Guillermo takes a marital disagreement and turns it into a judgment about her value. Many viewers are especially uncomfortable with language that questions her motherhood. They argue that his own financial choices, career decisions, and behavior inside the marriage deserve the same level of examination. A section of the audience also sees a gendered double standard in the way Kara is judged for public work, independence, and ambition. Then there is a third group that criticizes both of them. These viewers believe Kara wants acceptance without making the change Guillermo says he requires. At the same time, Guillermo talks about reconciliation while showing contempt and refusing emotional closeness. From that perspective, neither person is truly rebuilding the marriage. They are using therapy to negotiate a less hostile separation. That may be the most realistic interpretation. Therapy is not always about saving a romantic relationship. Sometimes it helps two people become honest enough to stop causing additional damage. Kara and Guillermo may not be learning how to become husband and wife again. They may be learning how to become functional co-parents without turning every disagreement into a character attack. The deeper issue is identity incompatibility. Kara appears to want Guillermo to accept the person she is now. She sees herself as an independent income earner, a performer, a woman pursuing music, and a mother who believes financial contribution demonstrates responsibility. She does not want to return to a version of herself that needs spousal approval before making major decisions. Guillermo appears to want a marriage with mutually accepted boundaries. He wants a partner whose public career aligns with his personal values. He wants his role as husband and father to carry weight. He wants evidence that rebuilding the family will be prioritized above a career path he believes damaged the relationship. These are not temporary preferences. They are competing visions of adult identity. That is why the conflict keeps returning. Kara does not see the side business as one removable problem. It is connected to autonomy, money, and her future. Guillermo does not see it as one job he happens to dislike. It represents disrespect, lost influence, and a marriage moving in a direction he did not agree to. Even if Kara stopped tomorrow, the resentment might remain. Guillermo may still remember that she continued after knowing how strongly he felt. Kara may still feel that she was forced to surrender part of herself to receive affection. And even if Guillermo accepted the work, Kara might not feel secure. She may continue wondering whether his acceptance is real or whether judgment will return during every future argument. Removing the trigger does not automatically restore respect. Several warning signs suggest the damage is already deeper than the original disagreement. The first is contempt. Guillermo's language and body language sometimes move beyond frustration into visible disgust. Contempt is different from anger. Anger says, "I hate what is happening." Contempt says, "I look down on who you are." Once that enters a marriage, apologies and small gestures often feel performative because the basic sense of admiration has been damaged. The second warning sign is invalidation. Kara often seems to treat Guillermo's objection as something he should simply overcome. She may disagree with him, but dismissing the emotional reality of his position makes him feel even less important. The third is conditional acceptance. Kara wants warmth and kindness, but she does not appear ready to remove the behavior Guillermo identifies as the deal breaker. Guillermo offers the possibility of reconciliation only if Kara removes a major part of her current life. The fourth is physical separation. They live apart. They sleep apart. They negotiate whether minimal touch is acceptable. Those are not small relationship problems. Those are signs that the marriage is already operating more like a separation than a partnership. The fifth is their different definition of repair. Kara seems to measure progress through emotional warmth. A kind word, a touch, or a moment of softness tells her that love may still be present. Guillermo measures progress through behavioral change. Unless Kara stops, emotional warmth may feel dishonest to him. That difference creates a painful misunderstanding. Kara may interpret a small affectionate gesture as proof that reconciliation remains possible. Guillermo may see the same gesture as compassion, history, or co-parenting goodwill. She sees a door opening. He sees himself trying not to be cruel. This could become the emotional twist of the season. Guillermo may continue showing brief moments of care because Kara is the mother of his child and someone he once deeply loved. Kara may read those moments as evidence that the ultimatum is softening. But his physical rejection suggests his internal decision may be further advanced than she realizes. The most likely outcome is that Guillermo remains emotionally distant unless Kara agrees to his condition. Even then, recommitment is not guaranteed. Stopping the work might remove the current deal breaker, but it would not erase the history of resentment, separation, jealousy, and mistrust. A formal breakup appears more likely here than in several other couples because Kara and Guillermo entered the retreat already living in separate homes. As of the public reporting referenced in July 2026, there was no confirmed finalized divorce. Their separate social media presence, along with continued posts involving their son, appears consistent with separation or structured co-parenting. It does not independently prove their legal status. That leaves open the possibility that they remain legally married for a period while functioning mainly as co-parents. Legal marriage and romantic marriage are not always the same thing. Some couples delay formal divorce because of finances, immigration history, parenting logistics, emotional uncertainty, or the simple difficulty of closing a major chapter. But romantic reconciliation looks unlikely unless one person makes a major concession. Kara would have to decide that preserving the marriage matters more than continuing this part of her current identity. Guillermo would have to decide that he can accept a version of Kara he did not expect and stop expressing disappointment as contempt. Either choice would require more than a promise made during therapy. It would require a complete change in how one person understands the future. And that may be why the blanket wall matters so much. It was not only a barrier in a tent. It was a physical picture of the marriage they already have. Two people sharing a space because the relationship still connects them, but separated by resentment, mistrust, and incompatible expectations. Guillermo's ultimatum is clear, but clarity does not automatically make the delivery respectful. Kara's independence is legitimate, but independence does not erase the effect her choices have on a marriage. Their son gives them a reason to communicate with care, but he does not automatically give them a reason to stay romantically together. The real question is no longer whether Kara and Guillermo love each other. Love can remain long after compatibility disappears. The question is whether either person can respect the life the other one wants. Right now, Kara seems to be asking Guillermo to accept her without the change he requires. Guillermo seems to be asking Kara to change before he offers the warmth she needs. Neither person believes they should have to move first. And when a marriage reaches that point, the final breakup does not always begin with divorce papers. Sometimes it begins with a blanket placed carefully between two people who no longer know how to share the same side of a life.
So what do you think?
Is Guillermo setting a reasonable boundary for the kind of marriage he is willing to remain in? Or has his disappointment turned into contempt, making reconciliation impossible even if Kara finally changes?